Hello everyone and welcome to Cult Classic Society, the podcast where I, Tim Martini, and my pal Bobby Davis
Hello.
go through the movies, the music, the games, the TV shows, the comics, even though we haven't done comics yet, to all of media. We're going to look at it and
You're a bigger comic book nerd than me. I'm waiting for you.
we're going to talk about it one day and you're going to listen to it. But first off, Bobby, how you doing, man?
Yeah, I'm good. The weather's still shit, but the days are getting longer. I can deal with that. We've just had a good Purpose show just before this recording. Purpose Wrestling. This one was called. I named the show and I've forgotten it. Hang on, it'll come back to me. Hang on. Oh, it was called Escape. I didn't name this one. It's named after the Pina Colada song. But it was very good.
What was your main event?
We had a triple threat match that was Jordan Breaks versus Sapphire Reed versus a surprise third person returning Connor Mills.
Oh, when was the last?
Yeah.
When was the last time Mills was in a Purpose ring?
Ooh, last summer, early summer.
Madame. Well, it's good to see he's back. He's facing Zack Sabre Jr. This weekend of recording.
Yeah, Sunday in Crystal Palace. By the time this goes out, it'll be longer, but you can find it on RevPro's on demand.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, a nice little cheeky shout out for them,
Yeah.
But
They
enough
need it.
about yeah, enough about the biggest British wrestling company. We're gonna talk about Sleep Token. These good old London boys, these good old masked London boys, who they only kind of recently blew up, I would say. They formed back in 2016, so they're quite recent. They're only 8 years old right now. And, they did a couple of EPs up until 2019 when they finally released their first album, Sundowning. And then that got a really good reception. But what we're going to talk about today are their two recent albums, which are This Place Will Become Your Tomb and Take Me Back to Eden. But Bobby, did you know anything about Sleep Token?
You know what? I didn't. Weirdly, I ran this through past a few of my friends. Say, hey, we're doing an episode about Sleep Token, and they were like, "Oh, I love Sleep Token. Yeah, I'm a fan of Sleep Token." I was like, "How has this band passed me by?" I will admit, I used to work in a record shop, but I left that record shop in 2018, and I feel like I left keeping up with new music behind it when I left. That's it. I don't keep up with new stuff anymore.
Well, you don't have to now for your job, so you're fine.
No. I'm such a podcast person now, it's unreal.
Because it was very obviously with EPs, most of the time it's just digital only, or you buy it through the artist Bandcamp, so you weren't going to discover them until their debut album, and as you said, you left in 2018?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, you missed them by a year.
Well, even that, I mean, everybody who worked there was quite into their music, or most people who worked there were quite into their music, so it could have been that someone would have told me about them, which that also happened, but no, that didn't happen either.
Just one out in one ear, out the other.
Yeah, either that or I stopped listening. That happens a lot.
Hopefully not while we're recording.
Sorry, Tim, what'd you say? You must have seen that coming a mile off, come on.
I was hoping for that, to be honest. But well, we're going to dive straight into the second album. It's the first album we're talking about. This Place Will Become Your Tomb. And we're going to go yeah. It sounds scary, but it's not really, We're going to go into the first song, Atlantic. It just opens up with an amazing soft piano.
So, my immediate thing, the first time round I listened to these two albums, I listened to them without taking notes. I just pressed play on Spotify and just got all my stuff. I had my headphones on, I did some bits and bobs, and the second album I think I listened to in my office with my speakers on, playing video games. Just taking it in.
Yeah.
And I thought, you know what, I'm going to read the lyrics as well. So actually, the bulk of my notes is me analysing the lyrics.
You know what? I'm happy to hear that because honestly, I think it was something I ended up doing as well. When I was taking notes, I had it playing on my speaker, but I was looking at my monitor, just the lyrics loading down, and yeah, there's like a lot of lyrics just to analyze that I find as well. But what I love is as well as how really both these albums, they're basically like about unrequited love, and you don't really get that vibe from the title of this album.
Or the songs, like titles of the songs. The thing that I actually think, and I may be over extrapolating here, but the first album feels like it tells a story.
Yeah.
I may have just
I
read too much into it, but
No, I definitely see it as telling a story as well. But what did you think of Atlantic as a whole, or is there any like specifics you want to pull to first?
so those first listens, I love a bit of like softer but guttier music for background noise. Love it. Playing video games, doing housework, doing whatever. There's a band I really love called Public Service Broadcasting, who do a bit more like they're rockier, sometimes a bit more techno, but they're in a very similar level of kind of you could put them on and you don't have to sit and go, I am listening to this, and it's not so overwhelming
Yeah.
that you kind of stop doing what you're doing to listen. I quite like that. I quite like something that's good and sits in the background. And the first listen through, I do get that vibe from Sleep Talk. Like, I could put this on and just vibe and
Yeah.
play video games, and that works really well. It works really well as kind of video game background, depending on what you're playing, I suppose.
Yeah, absolutely. Like this song was definitely like I'm playing Halo 2 right now, so
Yeah, anything a bit gritty.
yeah. But what did you think of the lead vocalist, Vessel?
I in the background, fine, but I think he sounds like Sam Smith or the Kings of Leon or something. Don't get me wrong. He can sing, and I don't dislike it. I don't think it necessarily fits with everything they're trying to do. It
Yeah.
fits with a lot of what they're trying to do, but not everything. Some of what they're trying to
I get what
do.
you mean, yeah.
So when it gets heavy, I don't think his voice works very well. But the light stuff, which is, kind of 60, 70%, I think it's beautiful.
Yeah.
You see what I mean?
I absolutely get what you mean because I think the song is a really good showcase of his soft vocals, especially when he starts like hitting high notes. When he goes into like that falsetto tone, it's just incredible. And what I like about it as well is it was something that we mentioned back in the cinema episode when Corey was harmonizing with himself. He does a lot of that with it. Vessel does a lot of that with himself in this, and it just works so perfectly.
Well, you can tell there is only like any of the harmonies aren't done by someone else. It's clearly layers of him. You can his voice is quite distinctive. You can hear it.
Absolutely. What's great though is when they perform live, they do actually have a choir on stage with them to harmonize with him.
Oh, nice, yeah.
But is there any like lyrics that drew your attention for this song, or?
The only kind of analysis I can pull is that it seems like it's a bit about depression. There's the repeat line of like "Don't wake me" at the end, which feels like very like a very thing about depression is you don't want you spend a lot of time in bed.
Yeah.
It's some of it actually. I found this one specifically to be quite nonsensical. Sometimes I'm like, okay, what are you talking about? But that can also be a sign of depression as well, and it's also something that one of my favourite bands, Streetlight Manifesto, sometimes does to me. I'm like, I don't understand what you're talking about.
Yeah,
it all sounds lovely. Sung, it sounds lovely, but reading it, I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about?
That's it, because like this one's like the very more. It's very abstract. This one compared to everything else. Like everything else, you clearly know what he's talking about. Yeah. But in this, it's very. We're talking about Atlantic and how it's like crushing me down. It's like, oh, what are you talking about here, really?
So I did notice a pattern starting with this song of 2/3 of the song being very soft and then a heavy ending. I do think they rely a bit too much on that formula.
I do too, but I feel like for this song, it's like a good this is what we can do kind of thing.
Yeah, no, as an opening song, obviously, but at this point, I hadn't clocked that was the formula. And it's a good song, but it's just I actually think well, you'll see this in my go forward analysis. I think I prefer their songs that are almost entirely soft.
Okay, I can understand that. But we're gonna move on to their second song, then Hypnosis, which isn't as soft. I would say the one thing that he does in the verses is he riffs on his own vocals,
What do you mean by that?
which so I'm trying to think of an example. So he goes, take, like he's holding the notes and he's like going up and down like tones.
Oh, he's doing a Mariah Carey. He's doing a vibrato
Yeah.
on the.
Yeah, and but he's doing it a lot to the point like he's showing off what he can do, right? And
Yeah.
I love that to me. I feel like him just like messing around with what he's doing. Like you could say it's unnecessary, whatever, but I feel like it adds this insane vibe to it all, especially with the incredible drums underneath.
Yeah, it's got a vibe. The thing I liked about this song, on my second and then third, I listened to everything 3 times. Listened to was that it's actually heavy all the way through,
Yeah,
and I think, like looking at my notes, my least favorite songs are the ones where they jump between heavy and soft.
yeah.
I like the ones where it's either all heavy or all soft.
Yeah, okay.
I don't know why. It's just the way it's fallen for me. But I just preferred them. I don't know why.
No, I can get that because sometimes you feel like you have a vibe or an atmosphere going, and now you've just
Yeah.
completely changed it. But because at this point, this is when I realised, okay, this is now you start to sing about unrequited love, especially with the repeating of the line, you hypnotise me always.
So this, the way I read the lyrics, it's about kind of like besotted, almost like violently intense love.
Yeah,
Like it feels like the beginning of a relationship where they're just like on each other. Like
yeah,
the sink your teeth in, split my skin. I'm like, okay, here we go. It feels like intense. It feels like, when we did the Blink episode,
yeah,
and we spoke about how in Feeling This, Mark and Tom went and wrote the verses and the chorus independently, and one wrote about the romantic side of sex and one wrote about the intense side of sex.
yeah,
And it feels like this song is about that kind of even more intense side.
yeah. No, yeah, that's definitely feels like this is like the intense, almost like to begin, almost like the honeymoon period where you're just like messing around
even-
with each other and everything.
Or even that like pre-relationship bit.
Yeah,
Like in that hookup phase, it almost doesn't feel like it's
Yeah.
a romantic thing at all.
no, it feels like purely like lustful.
And the reason the next song actually kind of cemented that for me, because that is about sex, and it feels like the next song, Mine, is about them, then the singer
Yeah,
wanting that person to actually be in a relationship with them and
Yeah.
kind of obsessing about it. Like it's called Mine, and there's a line that's like, "You will be mine."
and we can go move straight on into mine because I feel like because with Sleep Token, no one really knows how to determine what kind of genre they are. Like default, they say metal, but then I feel like they try and switch genres, especially throughout the songs. And I found mine to be quite poppy.
Yeah, I find them. If you said to me at the end of the last episode, they're metal, and
Yeah.
after the first listen, I was like, if they're metal, they're pop metal, because
Yeah,
they're not heavy by any means. They're only as
No.
heavy as bands like A Day to Remember. In fact,
Yeah.
I'd say A Day to Remember at points are heavier,
yeah.
and they're more of a pop punk band with a sprinkling of metal.
That's it. There's points of contention about, oh, they're not metal, blah blah blah. It's like people say no, they're alternate metal, they're indie metal, they're pop metal, and I think that's the thing about music and rock and everything all that in general genres. It's very
Subjective.
subjective, right? And I feel like they're just doing their own thing. If you want to put them in a box, you can, but I don't know.
Oh yeah, It's not a bad thing to say they're pop metal. It's just because it's
No.
you, Tim, and you said they're metal. I was expecting like nah, and it's just none of that.
I mean, you get some growls in it.
No, not nearly.
Not
like,
nearly enough, no.
Not nearly like I would have expected from you.
I set the tone too high with Slipknot.
Slipknot and Ice Nine Kills. Yeah.
Yeah. But anything else you want to say about mine?
No, it just feels like again progressing that story from kind of maybe it's a hookup kind of thing to a like okay, I want this to. It sounds like the singer or the voice of the
Yeah.
song wants a relationship, and the other person's like, oh no, that ain't what this is about for me.
Yeah. I did like how with the ending, like it's repeating the first verse again, but this time with like a heavier backdrop, which is a thing they also like to do, where they like to repeat like lines a lot. But it kind of like shows he's been through this before, or he's like he's been pleading before to this person to actually
Yeah.
be his. I think this is the first
Yeah.
time I've properly been analytical with lyrics in a
It's
podcast.
funny, isn't it? I don't, especially. I'm quite analytical with lyrics in music. So we've done 2 episodes that I picked music, Blink and Streetlight Manifesto, and I went into the note taking for that already having an idea what I thought the songs were about.
Yeah.
There might be a couple of lines where I was like, oh, okay, this line, reading it rather than listening to it makes me think slightly different.
Yeah.
But yeah, it doesn't seem your vibe isn't to kind of break down kind of structure of lyrics and stuff, is it at all? You're normally just like, here we are.
Yeah, I'm very like put the song on what vibe is it giving,
Yeah.
right? Like what's the emotion, the story that's being told. Because I never did like music theory or anything like that. I just came in with like, I'm gonna sing, I'm gonna emote, I'm gonna create an emotion, and I feel like that's always the thing I pull from music. Like how am I feeling from it?
Yeah, I mean, I've always liked dialogue and words and the structure of sentences. I think same with TV and film. When a monologue or a conversation between 2 people is written right and delivered right, that not just what they're saying, but the structure of the sentences can be amazing and powerful. And I think music is basically trying to bottle that idea, isn't it? So
Yeah.
the poetry to noise, essentially. Like,
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
oh captain, my captain.
Trapped under the surface of your words, there is a new intention, new.
So we're gonna move on to Like That, and as I say, I love like the synth drums for this.
Yeah,
you-
it was really cool. A bit different, a bit almost a bit drum and bassy.
Yeah. And
Not in terms of the actual structure of the drum beat,
Yeah.
but the sound of the drums.
Yeah, you can tell they're messing around with things.
Yeah.
And so the thing I pulled from this song was it's the singer trying to be the person that he thinks that the person he's infatuated with wants.
Yeah, I think the similarly, I think it's more about them trying to accept that person doesn't want to be with them.
Yeah.
Similar idea. So I was like talking. One of the lyrics is talking with razors on your tongue, just to provoke
Yeah.
my combat. It feels like arguments, or like being cut down.
Yeah. Like that, I find that lyricism really like strong in like
Yeah.
in like pretty much almost all of these songs.
Yeah, I think he's a very good lyricist. There are some that I was a bit like, okay, it feels like you're being lazy on this song, because there's a couple of songs. Like, don't get me wrong, 99% of it, great. Then there's a couple of songs that's like, you've repeated that line a lot. I understand you're trying to hammer a point home, but
Yeah. Well, like especially in Like That, where the end is literally him just going, "Do you like that? Do you like that? Do you like that?" Which I always took it like him just like almost like going insane about it.
oh yeah, it's definitely this is the point where the love has now become unrequited. It feels like a hookup gone wrong.
Yeah.
Like, you start with that hookup, he's now like into that person, and that person's like, nah.
Also, I love the bit when he goes like full into your eyes like a grave, and it's like really like filtered as well, and just like it's like the setup for the break where the drums just kick in again, and I'm gonna say it a lot because I think the drummer for this band, who is called Two, by the way,
Yeah, the rest of the members apart from the singer are like 2, 3, and 4, right?
yeah, I find their drums to be amazing. I think there's a certain point where I actually wrote down we need to put them in contention for like in our best drummer conversation, because I was just kept getting blown away. More in the next album.
I'd say he's quite innovative, but I don't know if he, like, in terms of being able to keep. I feel like he's innovative within a range.
Yeah.
I'd like to see, not that you can see them, but I'd like to see them play something really outside of the box.
Okay.
Because although there's a bit of variety, so I think they have got a variety, but it's a variety within their style.
Yeah.
Because some drummers will just repeat the same shit basically, and it works because they're playing the same style. Now don't get me wrong, he's changing it up, but he's changing it up within the bracket, within the sound of this. There's not much like offbeat. There's not much bringing in kind of an alternate rhythm, like a samba style rhythm, like a funky rhythm.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of that. It is very on the beat.
Okay,
And that's not a bad.
mean,
That's not a bad thing. It works for what they're doing. I think if you brought something funky in, it wouldn't work. But I'd like to hear him try it.
Yeah. No, I absolutely get what you mean. Because obviously, when we talk about best drummers, we always talk about Travis Barker, who plays a variety of styles.
Well, that's the thing. That's what made me realise. Because I've always, I've listened to a ton of bands. I'm like, oh, that drummer's good. That drummer's good. And then when you go and hear someone like Travis, and there's a handful of others that do it, go and play drums on someone else's music that isn't theirs.
Yeah.
Go play drums on pop music or R&B or hip hop music, and you go,
Yeah.
oh my god, they can really change it up.
Yeah, absolutely.
Seems your heart is locked up, and I still get the combination wrong. Or are you simply
And then we fall into The Love You Want, which this is probably my least listened to song, like in general, for Sleep Token. I'm not saying it's bad, it's just we have
just
so
doesn't-
many good songs.
Doesn't fall on your rotation.
Yeah, exactly.
I reading the lyrics, I took this as a sort of post-breakup song.
Yeah.
He actually says, are you simply waiting to save your love for someone I am not? And I'm like, okay. Post-breakup, or even like post-rejection. So she's gone, or they've gone, nah. And they're like, oh, I see, you just, not me then, I see.
Like, okay, fuck you.
So I made this later in my notes. I think it might even be at the very end of my notes, but this is a good time to say it because of the content so far. They're really emo.
Yeah. They give a proper emo vibe, but we love them for it.
I'm not using emo as an insult. I don't mind a little bit of emo music. I was never a big emo kid, but there's a couple of bands that I rate. Take It Back Sunday. Oh, love it.
At this point, I noted that I'm actually singing along to all these songs.
To the point where you say you know the lyrics, you've listened to it that much.
Yeah. I was literally like, I should note that down. Yeah, I'm singing with this now.
Again, when we did the two music episodes of My Choice, same thing. Like, I can't help myself.
Yeah.
If I know the words.
Yeah, you just can't stop yourself. Yeah, I don't really have much to say about this one. I think it's a good song. I feel like it's a nice little bit set up because this is when we reach like the halfway point of the album.
Yeah.
And this is when we go into Fall For Me, which this caught me off guard the first time I heard it.
in a city of ice? There are burning cathedrals, turning the skies into glass. And
it's just Vessel, like he's put his vocals in like a vocoder, and he's like synthesized his vocals on different levels. He's just harmonizing with himself.
I think it's more coherent as a whole song, though.
Yeah.
It is different, but actually, as a one kind of the songs are all very long as well, by the way.
Yeah.
But as one kind of 4.5, 5 minute piece, it holds
Yeah.
up really nicely. Up until
Yeah.
apart from Hypnosis, every other song before this has done that light, heavy, light, heavy.
Yeah.
This again is very chill all the way through.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah, I love it. There's a song where there's a lyric in it actually, where he goes, "I can no longer pretend that I no longer think of you in the screaming silence," and then it's him just shouting, "Oh God, I wish you were here," and it's just like going like even when he's trying to like silence his mind, she's on his mind.
There's a line in here as well that's like, "Hold shut the wounds of the past so you won't fall for me."
Yeah.
And this is again, it feels like someone's kind of descent into a kind of a bit of lunacy
Yeah.
post kind of rejection. I've got a feeling, like I had a feeling at this point, it's like, is this going to end with like, because of the kind of vibe they're giving off, is it going to end with like him stalking the person?
Yeah. It does feel like it.
At this point, I'm like, oh, this is intense from your side, buddy. This does, because this doesn't sound romantic to me. It sounds sinister.
No, absolutely, and I think what's interesting about it, like it's almost in that moment to him, he feels like, oh, I'm being this like deep romantic person, but if you just like look at it from like the outside point of view, it's like, actually, no, buddy, no.
Super sinister.
But I would say he's really good at like like emoting, I would say. Like I find emoting in music to be a very tricky thing to do because it needs to sound authentic, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like if someone's trying to like do like a happy voice or a like sad voice, you can kind of tell when someone's putting it on. But I truly believe with him, when he's singing this is how he feels.
Yeah, I see that. It's quite guttural, quite.
Yeah.
It does feel like it's coming from the chest, which is also slightly worrying because, like I said, these lyrics are mildly psychotic.
Yeah.
And he believes them, you know.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, I'm wearing my Purpose hoodie. Do you like it?
Yeah, I do. And I'm wearing my CM Punk t-shirt. You know the one, or, you know, the final AEW t-shirt he wore. I bought it on the day he beat the shit out of Jack Perry. All right, back to Sleep Token.
Yeah, I think I've got the first one of his from AEW. Yeah.
Either way, I'm into it. Caught between black and white. I'm either day or night. She's perfectly misaligned.
We go into Alkaline, which was the first Sleep Token song I heard actually,
Okay.
and I like the first. Well, this is what we say about it being like that soft and heavy, but I feel like there's a nice distinction between the two because, like, first half the song, you know, with the synth piano, very like menacing, and then it goes into to the heavy stuff with a nice little bit of like synth drums, and then it transitions very cleanly, I find, into actual percussion.
Yeah, I see where you're coming from. I have found some of the changes jarring. This one was a little less so, but yeah.
I'm gonna say Vessel is the only person I've heard that can make a line like, "Ooh, let's talk about chemistry," sound good.
Yeah, I mean, there's some people I'd say in the mid 2000s that would have done that like post ironically, but
Yeah.
I don't think that's what he's going for. I just think, yeah. I was gonna say, it feels like another one about. I feel like whoever this person is, they've hooked up with in the first song, he's really regretting this by now, because like you said, he's talking about, do we have chemistry, and then he also says, it's too late for me now. I am altered. It's like, wow, this is like continuing the post rejection depression.
Yeah.
So,
He's like, oh damn, this person really messed me up. And it's like, but I'm still obsessed with them, so there's an issue there.
Hey man, we've all been teenagers at points. I assume that's what he's talking about.
Yeah, and if he's still obsessed with about this person after like being a teenager, there's something worrying there.
You know what? There's a real part of me that thinks there's probably something quite clever aiming it at, because more alternative music, and this is coming from someone in their mid-30s, is aimed at kind of younger, cool people most of the time.
Yeah.
Especially a newer band like this. And honestly, I bet you this speaks to teenagers and people in their early 20s like no one's business.
Oh, absolutely. Like this, like they've blown up on TikTok. People constantly talk about them on there, and they are quite young people. So
Alkaline is also their most listened to song on this album.
Yeah, and I'm not surprised. And it's actually one of the...
Just on Spotify, you can see obviously the play numbers.
And it's one of the only few songs they have that actually have a music video.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I tell you, speaking of Spotify numbers, I know I've spoken about Blink a lot this episode, but they have joined the 1 billion club.
Woo! It's probably been me.
550 songs ever have been played 1 billion times on Spotify, and my least favourite Blink song has just joined.
Yes!
All the Small Things is now 1 billion played song on Spotify.
It's your least favourite, but it's everyone's most popular.
Hey, I mean, that puts Blink in, the top 550 streamed artists on Spotify. Good for them.
But Bobby, do you know why it's the most streamed song? Alvin and the Chipmunks soundtrack.
Oh, possibly, yeah.
Yeah.
It is also just their most, like, I hate when I go to, like, a punk club and they're like, next up, like, some Blink-182, and then they just play all the Small Things. It's like...
I mean, that happened when I was at Face Down, so I had to tag you in it.
Yeah. Yeah.
They played First Date as well. I will stress that. They played First Date.
That's a much better song.
Yeah, it's now currently on my on-repeat rotation.
Good.
Right, and I did listen to their latest album. Sorry, no, quick
you
tangent.
listened to One More Time?
Yeah. Really good album.
Go on, one sentence, what do you think?
You can tell they've matured, but they're still the same.
Yeah, they got the same goofy sense of humour, but yes, they're a bit more grown up, yeah.
Because I've taken up a challenge this year. Mm-hmm. I'm listening to one new album every day that I haven't listened to.
Every day?
Every day I'm listening to a new album.
I thought he was going to say every week. I mean, 52 albums in a year is pretty good going, but fuck me.
Yeah, I'm listening to... And so I started back in like mid-January, and yeah, I've stuck to it.
Nice. Yeah, I do like that Blink album. I prefer the back end of it. I think it's quite backloaded with the punkier songs. Yeah. And they're the ones I prefer, so...
That's fair. I did find their second song on there, Dance With Me, to be their very, like, this is going to be our single song, but it wasn't released as a single, as far as I know.
No. Is that the one that starts with... talking about isn't it? So it's like,
yeah.
See if when I teach masturbation.
I did say have fun with it. Yeah, that one.
Yeah, that is a good song. My favourite song on there is Turpentine.
That's a really good one. Yeah,
a lot of people love Blink Wave, which is their kind of 80s synth one.
I actually didn't vibe with that one that much.
No, it's not my favourite. I'd probably put it like, if I was to like rank the album, it'd be in the bottom half for sure. But some people, it's their favourite.
Fair. I mean, I do think you giving me a history lesson in the podcast episode helped me appreciate this album more, especially with the One More Time song.
I mean, you really get their backstory, kind of the brothers into strangers, strangers into brothers bit,
I think, that if you didn't give me that quick history lesson, I probably wouldn't have like appreciated the album as much. So yeah, it was a good listen.
I'm glad you like it. I really like it as well. I think it's a very good album.
Yeah.
There was a real chance that it could have been a shocker post kind of coming back together as that original trio, and it just wasn't.
Yeah. No, it felt like Blink of old, which I think is a good sign. We'll see what happens next with them.
The tour was great as well. I saw them twice on this tour. As you all know, I went to California and then at the O2 in London. Great.
Okay,
that might be the longest. That might be the longest tangent we've been on.
Yeah, but we're going back to old eps, so
we probably should do that more actually, because
but also
it's a relatable thing.
Yeah, the next episode's title is very relevant because it's called Distraction, and that's what that tangent was. This is a weird one to me because it's like you get like a lot of. I feel like there's a lot of emotional distress towards the end because you have the whole band coming in at the end of the song, like really like boom kind of thing. But at the same time, it feels like it's a controlled chaos to this song.
Yeah, but they never. It does feel like it's about to punch through with something heavier. It never does.
Yeah.
And not that that's a bad thing. I feel like they leave it teetering on the edge for a reason.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
say,
like-
like Vessel's high notes to start the song as well. Like, I always find it impressive when someone who starts in a very low register is able to go up high. So whenever he does it in these songs, I find it incredible.
It is impressive. Like, his range is very impressive. I was going to say, this just feels like another post-breakup one. The, like,
Yeah.
I swear she's like no other... what's the other bit I wrote down? Because I'm broken into fractions, and I am driven to distraction. Which is a nice A-B rhyme structure, which he doesn't do all the time.
Yeah. I say I love the use of like reverb and echo on his vocals as well. Like it gives like a very like almost ethereal feel to it. And I can tell that's what he's always been trying to go for with his like style.
So, does the singer produce the music?
Him and two, yes.
Because it feels like he's got... You can feel the kind of attention to detail and love that goes into it.
Yeah.
It feels like they... It's not the... Not that there are kind of record company producers that don't do that, but you could tell when the band have done it themselves, I think. You could tell it on one... Again, sorry, jumping back. You could tell it on One More Time because Travis produced it.
Yeah. No, you can tell this is very like I'm putting everything I am into these songs. And
There's
it's
like-
very like I'm going to do it myself kind of thing.
It feels like there's no detail left unturned with it.
Yeah. Because I can give a personal experience with Waves. I did the mixing myself. Because I was very
Damn.
like
That's hard.
yeah, it was my first time mixing, but I was literally like, I need to do it myself because I don't want to have back and forth with people about this. I know what I want out of this. Let me do it.
Fair.
And I'm not going to say if it turned out great or not. That's not my opinion. I released it, but other people have different opinions.
Are you happy with it?
I am happy with it. I am
Well, then there you
really
go.
happy with
That's
it.
what matters. That's what I think matters to the lead singer of Sleep Token.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
he's-
That's what is the
he's-
important thing.
Realised his vision with it, and you can tell that it's his vision.
Yeah.
Especially because, don't get me wrong, all the layers have attention to detail, but the fucking vocals really do. It feels like he's given himself 100% and everyone else gets like 90, which is still more than a producer would put into each individual element.
One thing a lot of Sleep Token fans point out, and it's never said as a negative, but because Tu and Vessel are like the composers and producers on this, they get the biggest attention. The vocals and the drums get the highest attention. Then every like the guitar and the bass, they get moments to shine, but not as much as the other.
You can tell. You can definitely tell.
Yeah.
Even
And
as me, as a non-fan, just listening to the records a few times.
It's never said as a negative though. They kind of like no, it's those two bands, those who are there to support kind of thing. And yeah, I mean there are moments of like guitar solos that we will talk about in later songs, but for the first bulk of this album, there's barely any.
Yeah, you can see it. Yeah, for sure.
But this is then when we go into Descending, which this was a song that only recently I kind of started to get more of an appreciation for. Especially with like Vessel's vocals, he sounds very broken at that point. Like he's kind of like it's finally all clicked for him.
Well, and what I find interesting about this, there's two kind of notes I've got on this. One, that synthy drum and bass-esque drum sound comes back.
Yeah.
Again, note on the production, like you said.
Yeah.
But 2, this is the one that it feels like the person who he has these affections for is kind of considering coming to him, and now he's changed his mind.
Yeah, especially with the chorus where he goes, "You come crawling back to me, I'm more on the ground," and like ending it with like, "What would you do for me?" And it's kind of like, I've been doing all this for you, but you have never shown me a fraction of that.
Yeah, it's like, and I think a lot of us, and I can tell like my friends' personal stories and my own personal stories about people who treat you badly, then come back, and you're like, oh, fuck off.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it's worse with someone like you had feelings for, because it's like, oh, you put me down, but now that I'm getting better, you're coming back, and it's like, no, we're not going to do this song and dance again.
So the line you just said where it ends with "I'm already on the ground." The line after that is, "And we all know talk is cheap." And just as another tangent, one of my favourite lyrics of all time is by a band called State Champs. State Champs, actually, Tim, you were at my wedding. The first dance was a State Champs song.
Oh yeah.
But in another song, the line is "Talk is cheap. I've said that before," which I think is also not only is it a good line, it's a good joke.
That is actually.
I was like, yeah, no, that line is quality.
I was gonna say, because I love how he does a back and forth between high vocals and low vocals in the chorus. Because he'll go, "You come crawling back to me, but I'm already on the ground." So it's kind of like he's battling with himself in a sense.
Oh yeah, it's definitely a reflection of like an inner monologue.
Yeah,
It's almost not necessarily the conversation he's having with her. It's his thought process into it. Oh, she's or they I don't think they ever specifically say she
even
or gender
even
it.
when I looked it up on Genius, the lyrics like meanings, because I was wanting to get other people's interpretations. They were saying he, her, them. There's no like concise
gender
thing,
qualifiers at all.
And I think that also then in a way works because then it can like relate to everyone.
It's massively intentional, I think, as well. I think the singer's done a very good job. I think most people, and I again, my notes are like non-binary. I just say them.
Yeah.
But my heteronormative brain, in talking about it with you now, has said she a couple of times because the singer's male. But my notes will say them because I was very aware, reading the notes, that I didn't see. I might have missed it, but as far as I could see, there was no gender identifying.
Yeah, I mean, I did that with Waves. I left it very ambiguous because in the sense that like when I write it, like I'm taking my own personal experience here, but everyone else probably has gone through a situation like this, or not everyone, but people have gone through situations like this. Make it as broad as possible so then it can connect to them, and I think that's clearly intentional.
And you sing that from the gender identifier of the ultimate, the Tim Martini.
Yeah, the Tim. Beep the meat, motherfucker.
Tim the Martini.
Oh, to hell with this. I'm Chintzy.
Right. Yes. On to I don't even know how to say the title of this one. Telomeres.
Telomeres. Yes.
I know as you collapse into me, this is the start of something.
So, the first thing I wrote about this was Vessel sounds hopeful for this. Like he sounds hopeful.
Well, I think
it's like for a new beginning.
I think this song's about sex again.
Explain.
I think as you breathe me out, I drink you in. That line itself is very physical.
Yeah.
And genuinely, my note is one final fuck before you actually properly don't see each other again.
What? Sorry, that just makes me think of High Fidelity, in a weird way. I don't know why.
Oh, what, like the breakup sex type thing?
Yeah. But you said that, I was like, High Fidelity.
Yeah, I mean, this song is full of metaphors. Like, go and read it, and they're all about bodies. and stuff.
Yeah.
So like the lyrics are all about very physical things. So rather than emotional, which a lot of it has been before this, because he's talking about physical body parts, I assumed it was about a physical act.
Yeah. And as well, telomeres refers to the breaking down of chromosomes over time.
Oh, well, there you go.
Yeah. So, yeah, you're probably right. But again, it's
If
always
I had
up
to, if I had to pick one that mixed it up well, I would pick this one. Because you said you liked in a previous song, you liked the jump between the heavy and soft more than some of the others. This is the one that did it for me. I'm like, oh, this one, the heavy and soft. I like the way this flows.
Okay. I'm going to say, sorry, this is the first time we actually get a guitar solo as well.
Yeah, that actually threw me. I was a bit like, oh, hello, here we go.
They actually play guitar?
Yeah.
And
The
I think-
guitarist is allowed to do something.
Yeah. And I think they do a great job. I mean, it sounds good. It sounds clean.
The guitarist is good, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and also I like there's a little bit of like vocalizing from Vessel towards the end, just so you can just hear his vocals. Just so you can go, I'm still here.
Yeah, make sure no one forgets.
And I throw myself on sacred paper, waiting on some holy favor, basking in the solace of free.
Then we go into High Water, which I took as looking back on a toxic relationship, like looking back on that relationship.
Something similar I wrote, like it's about the lasting damage that a breakup or a relationship can do. So the line, "You are still a perfect reminder of what these scars on my arms are for."
Yeah.
I was like, there you go. That is the kind of the person has come crawling back, and you've had this moment again, and you're like, no, I need to remember that this person is a prick.
Like the line that I drew the biggest like, oh wow for me was, for the time being I will admit defeat again. I will accept that I can't pretend we will ever be together. Which is just like, oh, it's just like, it's that gut punch of like knowing like we don't work. There's no point to this. Why are we still here?
Even if like the two songs that I think are about sex are intense and like they highlight like a good physical chemistry, clearly mentally and emotionally they do not work.
And that's it. Sometimes you have like relationships where like the physical side's great, but then people go, you're clearly not happy. Why do you stay?
I actually think those kind of things are also more relevant amongst young people. So I said, I think I see the reason young people like this. I feel like when you're a bit older, you kind of don't accept that that's good enough.
Yeah.
Whereas when you're in your late teens and early 20s, you're like, I don't know, well, this bit's good.
Yeah, because there has been a rise in a certain type of relationship called a situationship.
Oh, yeah.
Which, for those who don't know, it's a thing where you go, well, we're not
Hey, I'm in my
dating.
mid-30s and I've heard about this, so...
I know, but other people might not have, We got to open up the floodgates to everyone. We have people in our 40s who listen to this podcast, Bobby.
Ah, yes, the stats don't lie. Thank you, Spotify.
Yeah. So we have to like address this for them. A situationship is this really dumb thing where you don't want to say you're friends with benefits with someone, but you don't want to say you're dating them. So you kind of go, will we? Are we? Will we be together? Will we? Will we not? But you're only there for the physical side of it, and then you get strung along for a really long time to the point that you eventually break up. Most situationships never become relationships.
Hey, it sounds like the singer of Sleep Token could have done with a situationship with this person, rather than a one in a relationship.
Look, I just know a lot of my friends are in situationships and I had to slap them for it. Literally, I had an argument with someone about it because I was just like to them, this isn't good for you.
It depends. I think it's not necessarily bad for everyone. But
they knew it was bad for me.
If you're both in the same mindset, I think it could be quite healthy. But
yeah, but then you're friends with benefits. Situationship is hoping that you're one side's going, we're gonna date, and the other person's going, I'm not ready for that. So let's just do this.
Oh, I just thought it was the new term for friends with benefits in general.
No, friends with benefits is still the same. Situationship is basically being strung along.
Nah, fuck that then.
Yeah, but they have to make it a relationship dynamic now because, everything has to have a fucking label. I'm non-binary, by the way.
Yeah, don't you bang on about it. I'm joking.
Well, also, can I just we mentioned Beep the Meep a while back. I want to go on another tangent before we do Missing Limbs because the script for the 60th anniversaries came out, and you know how I spoke about how I feel like Russell needed help writing about trans people.
Oh yeah.
Did you see the line where he introduces Rose as a stage direction?
No, I've not read it.
Rose Tyler, 15, mixed race. Born a male but now identifies as a woman. You just had to write transgender. That's all you needed.
To be fair, you have to remember the script has to go through BBC execs.
Yeah, but at the same time, it's through it's a thing that he's struggled with. I find with these 3 episodes, he clearly just needed someone else to write it because it was only him writing these episodes.
Well, Rose is meant to be coming back. Also, you got Rose's name wrong. You said Tyler. That's Billie Piper.
But I
Rose
just miss
Noble.
her. Okay? I just miss her. Okay.
Hey, I think Billie Piper's forgotten how to be Rose Tyler. So let's not wish that comes back.
Okay, and we're gonna end to take me back to Eden. No, this place will become routine with Missing Limbs.
Blessings rain like battles in the heavens halls. More prolonged advances won't last for long. The eager apprehension is wearing off.
Well, this literally, I think, is referring to that person you were with being gone as like having a missing limb.
I saw it as she's taken a part of him with them.
Similar metaphors then, but yeah. And he's got a guitar instead of a piano intro. Like
Yeah, he's got a nice little acoustic guitar, which was nice to hear.
Yeah, love it.
Yeah, it's a very softish ending to the whole album. I think it's a great conclusion to everything. What I find interesting though is how they ended with a little bit static building up towards the end, which is very the story's not over kind of thing.
I see where you're coming from, yeah. So, if they didn't intend that to be a structured story from beginning to end of the album, I'd be quite surprised. Because unlike, there are other albums and other, fan theories about films and albums and whatever, where you kind of have to make little leaps.
Yeah.
And I don't think you do with this story the way I just said it and the way you kind of agreed. And it actually flows like a story.
Yeah. I find it flows very chaotically, almost like a back and forth kind of thing. But because it's representing a mental and emotional state, it kind of has almost in a way an allowance to do that.
Like Mr. Keaton, Robin Williams says in Dead Poets Society, this is my interpretation. It doesn't have to be the same as the intent. You are trying to find the intent as well, but my interpretation is that they were telling a story.
Yeah.
Between just about 2 people the whole way through, the same 2 people.
Yeah, I absolutely agree on that interpretation, to be honest. It's how I heard it, and I think it's how a lot of people hear it, which I think is why it speaks to a lot of people and why it became very popular.
Yeah, I mean, one of the biggest albums in terms of rock and punk of all time is a story. To the point, say, American Idiot by Green Day is a story. It was intended to be a story. It's about one character. And that it actually got turned into a Broadway musical.
Yes, and I know Billy Joe Armstrong actually performed on it for a week.
Just the first night.
Oh, just the first night?
Yeah, Green Day, all of them showed up. Although, weirdly, they show up at pubs in London and play for no money. So
yeah, they did that, and then they got sick, so they had to cancel their Electric Ballroom show the next day.
Fucking it. People just giving them drinks, probably. They're probably just hungover.
Yeah.
Yeah, they all caught COVID in a very tight room.
Yeah.
Imagine going past a pub and you're like, oh, someone's covering Green Day. Then look through the window and just seeing Billy
and it's
Joe
actually
Armstrong.
Green Day.
But no, that got turned into a musical, and I love
Yes.
it. When a concept album's done well, I quite like it. A lot of them are done badly.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But overall, what did you think of this album?
I found the first listen to, just the analysis, I actually found to put it in the background quite relaxing. I quite enjoyed it. I weirdly enjoyed it slightly less and analysing it, because I think some of it is a bit messy and too layered.
Yeah.
I think the just slow songs or the just heavy songs, they come together a lot neater, and some of the heavy light stuff, and then some of the weird concepty stuff they throw in, like the drum and bassy drums, sometimes feel like they're a bit crowbarred in.
Yeah.
But I'm not saying I didn't like it. I still enjoyed the album.
Yeah.
I liked it. I didn't love it.
That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah, it's never going to be in my top albums, but a couple of those songs, especially that one that I said, the second one I said that was about sex, that'll go on a playlist now, and I'll have that because I like that song.
Yeah.
And I think genre crossovers are really difficult, and I think it sounds like they've taken like an indie pop style, like a Bastille or something like maybe Sam Smith would do, or Imagine Dragons, and then tried to put it with metal. And I don't think they hit it right every time. And that's not to say they don't sometimes when it jumps, but not every time.
That's
I feel
absolutely fair.
I feel like if the other 3 or 4 songs where it jumps between slow and metal were as good as the 2 that we mentioned are doing it, I think it would be a much stronger experience for me.
Okay.
There is a band, and I don't know if they're... I suppose they've got a good following. They're a very small band, but they've got a great following and really loyal fans. There's a band called Sonic Boom 6.
Oh, yeah, I've heard.
And they did an album called The Rough Guide to Genre Terrorism, which is a great title for an album, because they do a thing where they mix punk, ska, reggae, and hip hop.
Nice.
And what I think they do that I don't think Sleep Token managed to do is whenever they mashed up the elements, consistently managed to make it work.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do think sometimes the shift is very abrupt. Sometimes within the song, or sometimes from song to song. Mm-hmm. And sometimes it's like you are, in a weird way, listening to a concept album where like people just go, I had this idea, I'm going to throw this in there. But you can,
in a weird way, I might be better off listening to a song here and a song there rather than the album as a whole, because I might find that less jarring.
I think so. I feel like it's a good like first like listen through, but then once you analyze and start to pull things apart and you're noticing like changes and everything, that's when it almost, I'm not saying it falls apart, but
by no means does it fall apart. It's very structured.
But you can like see like the seams, like start pulling on little threads. You're like, oh, okay, that's what's happening. That's what's happening.
It's not as strong as it sounds. This isn't for every song, but for like maybe half, it isn't as strong as it sounds when you actually put your ear to it. Yeah. Like, if you understand what I mean. If you're just listening casually, it goes, oh, that was cool, that was cool, that was cool. And then when I put my nice headphones on and go to take notes, I'm a bit like, okay, that for me didn't hit right. I
get exactly what you mean.
Yeah.
But
I'm glad you did, because I was worried about telling you that I didn't love it.
No, I mean, like, this is what we're here for. We're here to share experiences.
I don't know. You seem to love them so much when you were excited about talking about them. So,
I mean, I was so excited. I bought the O2 tickets last week, so I'm seeing them at the end of the year.
You sent me a picture, actually.
Yeah, I'm so hyped. And so this album did really well. And 2022, they're touring. They're finally like back because the COVID restrictions are fully gone. They're touring. Then at the start of 2023, they start releasing a couple of singles, and it builds up to this album, "Take Me Back to Eden," which I'm not gonna lie to you. The first time I saw this album, I saw a lot of the song running times. I was terrified.
They're even longer, aren't they?
Yep, there's an 8-minute track on this. And I was like, oh no.
Well, when I opened up the first album, or the second album, and I saw the running times, I was like, oh dear, okay. coming from, a 2.5 minute to 3 minute song, kind of saying that, I made you listen to Streetlight, and like half of theirs are 4 minutes, so.
Yeah. We're going to go straight into the first song with Chokehold, which it just has a lovely low synth like intro chord, I find. And again, Vessel doing what he does best. He does a nice little vocal riff on I Come As a Blade, where he just holds that note for Blade and gets higher and higher with it. He's like, yeah, I'm back. And then they do the classic, they do the chorus, and they go heavy.
Yeah. Straight away, one of my first notes is, well, not my first note, the last note on my first section is, and there's that structure again.
I'm going to say, though, when I was taking notes for this song, what I realised was I was vibing too much to it. I was literally headbanging, moving around. I was like, I haven't been taking notes. I had to run back, restart the song, and actually listen.
The words chokehold, actually, despite the fact, we're both wrestling fans, the fact that it's a song title, immediately my brain went, oh yeah, remember Gym Class Heroes? Because they had that song, didn't they? Was it Cupid's Chokehold or something? It's the only time I've seen chokehold used in a song title.
The thing I liked was so the opening verse is quite slow, and then when he sings his second verse, he only picks up the pace very slightly. When I put it in a number, it went up by 0.5% more speed.
Oh really? I don't think I clocked that.
Yeah, it's just a small thing, but it's the same rhyming structure and everything. It's just the speed is slightly faster.
Oh, okay.
Also, of course, with a bit more percussion underneath it.
My kind of main note on this was I actually changed about 2/3 of the way through the song what I thought it was about. Because at first I was like, "Oh, this is different. It sounds more like it could be about addiction rather than love." Because he's you've got me in a chokehold. And there's nothing to say it's a person yet.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until he says something along the lines of, "We were tangled up in branches in a flood." I was like, okay, it is about again someone's thingy. But up until that kind of 2/3 of the way through, I was like, this might not be about love. And no, it is.
I'm gonna say he does very interesting things with song structure as well, or rhyme structure with that line you said, we were tangled like branches in the flow. He's very slow and deliberate, and it's clearly going over multiple bars. But it's just a really cool way to emphasize how he feels about that moment.
What's really funny about that is it's the reason him singing like that is one of the reasons why people will argue this is more like pop metal, because that's a very pop and R&B thing to do.
Yeah.
To drag syllables out, to bring them over bars, to make the words feel longer, to cover a longer thing. A lot of rock doesn't bother. Just words for syllables and bam, 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 bam. And I think that's why a lot of people would say they're quite poppy.
Yeah. And they are probably right about that in a sense. And I feel like it's shown how they have this element of knowing what metal is and going, well, I'm gonna do my own thing with it, and I feel like they really do.
Yeah.
Also, I love for that final line he does show me the way. He holds that note of way for, I timed it, 14 seconds.
That is an impressively long hold.
Yeah, I am impressed. And then we go into the summoning, which was Spotify's metal song of 2023.
100 million plays on Spotify.
Yeah.
Their most listened to song by quite some way. Impressive amount of plays.
Yeah. I mean, we can say why. I think it's the ending.
Oh, mate. The ending, I've actually used the word gumption. For the first time, it feels like the drop, and it's also a bit funky as well, which I was a bit surprised about. But it's got a little bit more. It feels like the vibe of the whole way through this has been a bit and this isn't. This sounds like an insult, but it's not. It's been a bit as in a woe is me, everything's sad, and then all of a sudden it's hey, we've listened to a fucking 70s Motown hit and got a bass line and some drums. It's oh shit, where'd this come from?
Yeah, it's such a departure, especially because with the majority of the song, it's you have that heavy intro with the drums just going off, the chorus where he's holding notes, he's growling, and then you get a guitar solo, a little musical interlude, and there's just bow, 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 bow. It's like, am I listening to the same band? What's going on here?
No, completely different. I can see why this is their most popular song. I actually think they've stumbled across, with this song, they've stumbled across a formula that they should run with.
Yeah.
They should allow the bass to do a bit more.
Yeah.
They should allow the guitar to be a bit freer. They should add quirky elements to it that aren't necessarily there.
Like,
and
this is the song I use to introduce people to Sleep Token.
I can see why.
Because I'm like, they're considered metal, but they do such different things. And they're like, oh, okay. And then you get to that end and they're like, you weren't kidding.
If they don't, on whatever follows this album, if they don't take more of these elements, they would be doing something wrong. Because 100 million plays on Spotify is like amazing.
Yeah.
And there's a reason for it, and it's because it brings an element that not only no other song of theirs, but no other band that I've listened to in the last however long brings, which is like you're bringing together pop and emo and metal and funk. Like what?
Yeah. It's like one of the coolest blends, and yeah, I really hope they like see like, oh, there's something here, and just run with it for the next album.
So there is a line in here which actually does gender the person they're talking about, but I also think it's one of the lines that helps sell the song, because it's something that like Fall Out Boy would have done. The line is like, I would be lying if I told you that I didn't want you to be your man or make a good girl bad.
A good girl bad, yeah.
That is something that I would have heard coming out of Patrick Stump's mouth 15 years ago.
Yeah. Also, I just love like there's a little like dun straight after that, and it's just like, oh.
Yeah, it's this is unequivocally this is probably their best song.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think having listened to this and then listened to it properly, like writing notes about it, listening to some of the other stuff again afterwards, I found a little difficult, because I was like, well, you're capable of producing something that's going to be so kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? Kind of accessible to a much bigger audience, but not upset your current audience. And I suppose it's because it's their last album. They didn't know that it was going to blow up like it did, that song. But I'd be really interested. So I assume, they've got this pattern of doing albums every couple of years. So maybe next year there'll be another album. And I'd be really interested, or even like another single, to see how they go with it. Yeah,
because this has so much potential to fail. This like little funk interlude, it could have failed spectacularly, but it didn't. And I feel like it just shows there's real skill there and a real opportunity to go further with it.
I think they should. And also, this song is definitely about sex as well.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I wonder what saying I could make a good girl bad means.
Yeah, I mean, I said it before that even that line even come out. There's other lines that allude again heavily to physical touch and body parts. It's like, well,
yeah. Or like, I got a river running through you.
Yeah. So this is also the first where I've definitely gone, well, that's a heterosexual couple, because he says she, and I don't know whether the singer identifies as male or they identify as some kind of etheric demon. I'm not sure. but birth, sex, they were obviously born male.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's as heteronormative as they've got so far.
Sulfur on your breath, grinding in my chest. You will never have to talk about it. You'll never want to talk about it.
So then this is when we move on to Granite, which I think, well, for one thing, it's the shortest song on the album. It's 3 minutes 43 seconds. So enjoy it. Enjoy that nice little bit of peace. He does the auto-tuned harmonies again with his own vocals, which is, staple. And he's doing the soft into heavy stuff again. And I think this is actually when I've noticed it. Like, the first chorus will be soft, then the second or third, whatever, will have the more like percussive backing.
Yeah, I'd say the start of this is even softer than normal. I'd say it's almost ethereal. It's a bit
Yeah.
like the Stranger Things music, some of it.
Yeah.
That almost 80s, but using like an 80s synth in like a horror kind of standard.
I was gonna say, I love the chorus. Like, I was more than just a body in your passenger seat, and you were more than just somebody I was destined to meet. Like,
Yeah, it's a
that's
nice-
such a
nice
good
line.
line.
I also think this is about like a domestic, like an argument.
Yeah.
Like, you'll never want to talk about it. Fury too damn late. Reasons dislocates. It's like,
Yeah.
yeah, they're arguing.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, I don't want to talk about. I don't want to talk about it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think it's a great line. Even like something so like the opening line, it's like sulfur on your breath, granite in my chest. It's like that already just like sparks something.
I'd say this album sounds less like it's about the story of a relationship and more just about maybe a relationship in general. Like, I think
Yeah.
every song is basically about love in some form or another.
Yeah, yeah.
So you can read that in whatever way you want, whether it's about the same two people or whether they're just a series of love songs. I feel like the album before this held together better as like a story. This I
Yeah.
don't think that necessarily whether they were going for it in the first one or whether they're just not going for it in this one. I don't know, but it just feels like more separate things.
Yeah. It feels like all different like elements of like a singular relationship.
Yeah. Rather than pulling in like a chronological order, it's just the different elements. Yeah.
Well, my love is an animal cold, cutting through the darkness, bouncing off the walls, between teeth on a broken jaw, following a blood trail, frothing at the mole.
And then we have Aqua Regia, which I said was a very like indie pop song.
The lyrics, yeah. So the lyrics actually written down, kind of belie the sound of the song. 'Cause
Yeah.
if you read, like, listening to the song, you're right. It's very indie, very poppy. And then you look at it written down, and it reads like a fucking love poem.
Yeah. So this was actually the only time I ever noted the rhyme structure for
Yeah.
like each verse. So like for the first verse, the first two lines share the same rhyme. Then for the next two, they share another rhyme, and it was like that. For verse 2, the first 4 lines shared the same rhyme. Then the next 4 shared another rhyme.
So it's AA, BB, CC, and then
Yeah,
AAAA, BB,
Yeah,
BB.
BBB.
Yeah.
And then for verse 3, it was only the second and fourth line that rhymed.
So an AB structure, yeah.
Yeah. It was just
Yeah.
fascinating that he was changing up the structure throughout the song.
Again, I think you're finally like breaking down the lyrics. You stumbled upon the same reason I love Streetlight, because he is very adventurous. Thomas Kalnoky is very adventurous
Yeah.
with rhyming structure, and but not just the rhyme structure, but the sentence structure.
Yeah.
Like, the line doesn't have to end when that set of bars ends. You can carry it halfway into the next one and then hold and restart. And not
Yeah,
many people do
absolutely.
it. Most people stay on the bars, stay on the structure of the song.
Yeah.
And I think, Sleep Token, much in the same way Streetlight do, don't necessarily adhere to those rules.
No, absolutely. They do their own thing, and respect them for it, because it pays off, I find. I think that Courageous is a really good song, actually.
Yeah, it is a good song.
And, you know, it doesn't really do the whole, like, soft into heavy thing. It
No,
maintains...
it's soft all the way
its-
through.
Soft all the way through. The chorus, I found to be really, really, like, just nice. It's just a nice, like, sounding chorus.
Yeah, there's a line here that I said was quite poetic. It's a call from Olympus ringing off the hook between the
Yeah.
pain and the way you look. I was like, that's nice. I like that. I like the flow of that.
Yeah.
Well, you said it's actually him going back to a more standardised rhyming structure, but, sometimes that works.
Yeah, sometimes, simple works best. And then we go into Vor, which... This is like the heaviest opening song, because...
Well, I've listened to the Subcultured episode about Vor, and I was immediately worried upon seeing the title. I knew it was going to be heavy all the way through. It's like a very intense love song.
Yeah. Well, like, there's especially like the line, "Are you in pain like I am?"
and I want to have you to myself for once. It's like, ooh,
Yeah.
ooh, all right.
And
Chill
let's
out.
get swallowed whole, which is the Vor reference. But he's almost like in a way going, no, if we're together, our pain like eases. Like we're both hurt, but if we're together, we will be stronger. And it's almost like him trying to convince himself that, but because he's like screaming it, it's in a way meant to come across as like he's been very aggressive about it, and almost in a way doesn't believe it.
Yeah. No, yeah. It's hard to really pinpoint, aside from love, what the meaning behind it is, but it is a bit like, again, it probably is it again about the intense parts of a relationship that varies from kind of the intense love to the fighting, you know.
Yeah, because it's a very like big back and forth between like there'll be sometimes like, oh, this is all great and lovely, blah blah blah, but then there's Vor which is literally just going ah! At each other. So it's like you don't know where it settles. And I said it with This Place Will Become Your Tomb, but I also find it with this way more. It's controlled chaos.
Yeah. Yeah, I do see what you mean.
Like almost in a sense, because it's life in a relationship, there's no structure to it. You're just going back and forth with it.
No, it feels like he probably borrows from his real world kind of things that's happened to him, because the real world is random and things happen to you and relationships don't work out the way you want, or they work out bizarrely too well or something, you know. All of those elements can be brought into this, and they do make it hard to read, especially after I think This Place Will Become Your Tomb has a coherent kind of feel through the album and a feel through the lyrics. This one is a bit more chaotic.
Absolutely.
Diamonds in the trees, pentagrams in the night sky.
And then we go into Ascensionism, which is a really difficult title to say, but
And also it's not a word.
it's not a real word.
Yeah, no, he's made that one up.
I love the use of piano in this song. It's really just like, it's just nice sounding. Feels very like in calming, which is funny to think about considering when it gets heavy. But
I was about to say calming for a bit, yeah.
yeah.
I was a bit stumped about this one. I read all the words, and there's like mentions of glitches and digital, and then also pentagrams. So I was a bit like, I don't really know what this song's about.
See, I just saw it as him like almost snapping in a way, because when he goes like, "You're gonna watch me ascend," it's like, what does that mean? Like, does he think he's gonna like? I saw it as like he's gonna rise above like the pain in this relationship, kind of thing. Especially when like the last lines of the song are, "You make me wish I could disappear."
Yeah, again, quite intense.
Yeah. And can we also mention like he raps in this song?
Ooh, calling it rapping would be...
I'm being generous here, but
Yeah.
like it's a very long moment. But I feel like
I'd say he almost sings rather than raps.
Yeah.
Which are two, to me, different things. Because like Morrissey sings,
That's fair.
whereas rapping is more deliberate.
Yeah.
I think.
That's fair. But I love that second verse.
I love hip hop though, so you know.
Yeah. I do love that second verse though. Like it goes on for a while, but it's like he's almost as well like overlapping himself, which does make it feel like manic and then like endless. Like this verse is just never going to end. I'm just rattling off everything to you now.
Yeah, I see where you're coming from with that. Again, I found this song quite hard to break down. I was a bit like, where is this going?
I think almost that's the point of it. Like, where is
probably.
it going? Like, if he's like rattling on for so long and then it's like just like breaks down, going, "You wish it disappears." Almost like, so it's like when like you're having an argument with someone, like it's the straw that breaks the camel's back. So you like talk, like rattling off everything, and then you just go, "Oh dear, they said all that."
I've just unloaded. Yeah.
Yeah.
You woke me up one night, dripping crimson on the carpet.
Then we get "Are You Really Okay?" which beautiful guitar on this.
Well, this is also the song where I was like, they definitely borrow from mid-2000s emo.
Yeah.
Because this is the kind of title that you would have found on the back of a Fall Out Boy song, My Chemical Romance song. It's a question, are you really okay? And there's a song in a couple of songs as well that I think is the same. I think there's definitely... These boys definitely like... Well, assuming they're all male. Under those costumes. These guys, these people, really... You said earlier they're young, but their influences suggest to me they're of an age to be influenced by kind of mid-2000s emo metal.
I say that their audience is young. Obviously, we don't know about them, but I would say Vessel has quite... He has a mature voice, but you can hear a lot of youth in it too.
Yeah. This song reads a bit weird as well to me, because it almost, rather than being about a relationship itself, it might be about like a later part of a relationship. Again, we don't know the exact circumstances of their life.
But it feels like of the song.
Someone struggling, like a parent struggling to raise a child with depression.
Yeah.
Because it's like, I raised you in the dark, caught you reading by the sunrise. Are you really okay? You woke me up one night dripping on a crimson carpet. These are all things that you can think like, this feels more like a child rather than a partner.
Yes, especially like with like lines like talking like "Please don't hurt yourself again."
Yeah,
it's just
is it
very.
Like, have they got kids,
really,
or is it like their parents' experience raising them? Maybe I don't.
Yeah.
You know, hard to know. It's quite a pretty song. It's probably my second favorite on this album.
Yeah, it's a really rich juxtaposition of it, because as you said, it's a pretty song, but the subject matter is really dark.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
and like especially like towards the end, again when like you said, "Please don't hurt yourself again." When I talk about like Vessel's emoting, like that, it just feels like he's really trying to reach out to someone.
Yeah, agreed.
I think it's fantastic for that. Like, this isn't like a heavy rotation song for me, because obviously I feel like it would kill the mood, but it is one that I really do love to listen to.
Really good song. Yeah.
So let's make trouble in the dream world. Hijack heaven with another memory go. And make the most of the turning tide. It's just split what's left of the burning silence.
Then we have The Apparition, which I just wrote. It's literally about a dream girl, or like the one who got away. Especially with the line, "Why are you never real whenever you appear."
There's quite a lot of religious imagery in this song. There's a bits of religious imagery all through both albums, but there's two things that I noted here. There's a metaphor about heaven, which I was like, is that a metaphor for sex? And then there's a bit about God, and it feels, rather than it actually being about God, it feels like kind of deifying a partner.
Yeah.
A bit like lifting someone else up to be like, you are my ideal, like you said.
Yeah. That's how I saw it. Like, he's putting this person too high on a pedestal.
There's also the reading. There's a couple of lines which made me realise it could also be about like internal conflict about someone's faith. It's like, were you never real? Shifting states you follow me through unrevealed. It's like, well, that could be actually about religion. Like, is this someone struggling with their own faith? But no, I think in context with the rest of it, it's about over kind of hyping a person or a partner.
Yeah, because I saw that line of "Why you never real," like she says, "You follow me through." I see that as like almost like realizing the person that he sees isn't who they actually are. Almost like the veil has been broken, the veil's been lifted, and it's like, oh no.
Yeah. No, yeah, I see it. Yeah.
It
was nice when we come to similar conclusions.
Yeah. I love the ending, like, which is basically just repeating the second verse, but it's more faded away. So I put, like the dream girl, the facade is fading away.
No, yeah, I get it. Yeah.
Like, this is what I do love about like songs like this. Like, there's a lot of interpretation, so we could be like vastly wrong. People could be going, actually, it's about this.
I guarantee there'll be a comment saying this we're wrong, but I've not looked into any breakdown of the song. I've not looked into if they've released anything saying what it's about. This is just how it sounds to me.
I didn't look into any breakdown of this album. I'm like, this is how I'm hearing it, and
fair. That's what this podcast is about.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you roll with the waves? Or do you duck into deep blue safety? Is it always the same? Do you wish that you loved me?
Then we have Do You Wish That You Loved Me?
but the initials are the song title, DYWTYLM. This is the other song that would have been on the back of like a mid-2000s emo album. Rather than saying the title, it would have just been the letters.
I said the synth beat could have easily been made on like Loop Master or something. I'm not saying that to knock it off. I think it's a pretty good beat for what it's doing, especially when you have the instrumental building up throughout the entire song. I think it's a good.
I didn't love it. I found it quite jarring.
Really?
Change it up, for fuck's sake.
I saw this song almost as a sequel to Fall For Me.
That makes sense, yeah, especially with the lyrics and the title.
Yeah.
Clearly about relationships again, but more about like an ex or maybe someone who you know but you want more from.
Yeah, and like so you're basically like confronting them with like the question of, do you wish that you love me? Do you want this to be a thing? And it feels like very like different between like Fall For Me, which is like pleading for it to happen, and Do You Wish That You Love Me, which is like the confrontation from it.
Yeah, more questioning, yeah.
Yeah.
Again, mid-2000s emo boys, I'm feeling it now.
And just like the rain, you cast the dust into nothing and wash out the soul from my head.
Then we'll go into Rain, which this will end up becoming one of my more listened to songs on the album. I really vibe with this one.
It's about sex. It's about sex again.
Yeah.
You will cleanse me with pleasure. What a line. The vicious cycle was over the moment you smiled at me. Oh, isn't that nice? This is one of the better slow to heavy songs, I think.
Yeah.
One of the ones where I think they hit the marker just right in the transition.
Because the transition more happens towards the end with the rain down on me. You have like the clap. So I does the most like in a concert, everyone's going to clap along with it.
I think the build's more natural, that's why.
Yeah, and then you have the big scream, and then you go boom. Everyone's playing now.
Yeah, no, I like this song.
But what's cool is when they do it live, instead of it's a scream, it's Free, the guitarist, actually doing a heavy go, rain down on me kind of thing.
Oh, it's not the singer, okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
So they actually
like
get a bit more involved. Yeah, I really
put
love
this
this
in
one.
on the top few in this album for sure.
Nice. Like I love like the second verse with like the talk, rap, whatever you want to call it, like speed talk. I think it's really well done. He like mixes in a bit of like holding notes as well. It flows just so beautifully.
I think the next song does the same thing. Tries to bring in elements of hip hop.
Yeah. The title track.
Yes, Take Me Through the title track. I think they also bring in elements of hip hop, but also like kind of that weird kind of in-betweeny pop hip hop thing like Rag and Bone Man.
Yeah.
Mama, those eyes like fire. I'm a winged insect. You're a funeral pyre. Come now, bite through these wires. I'm a working hell, and the gods grow tired.
So I wrote for Take Me Back to Eden actually that each like section feels different and that they're like almost reflecting their styles.
Yeah, so that was weirdly my beef with it. I felt like it didn't know what it wanted to be.
Okay, because I actually noted down all the different elements actually.
Go on then.
So I put first one is like slow piano and synth. And that builds into the first chorus, which ends with the very like heavy breakdown. Then verse 2 is like the rap, talk, like speed talk, whatever you want to call it. Then chorus 2 is like the harmonized vocal technique that they really liked. Verse 3 has like that big band feeling, which then continues into the final chorus. And then the outro is the heavy growls.
I think it was too much, and I don't think it flows I don't think all of it flows one into the next organically.
Yeah, I get what you mean.
Some of it flows more organically than other. So some sections work better than others.
Yeah,
But organically, each bit in and of itself is good. But the way they flow into each other, I didn't necessarily love.
this is twice now when like we've done an album, they have a title track. It's like this almost end song, and you didn't like it because we had this and we had Iowa.
Yeah. Don't put your title tracks near the end and make them shit. No, I'm joking. They're not shit. Just I mean, for the title track, I found it quite experimental. Which maybe that's what they were going for. Like, these are all our elements, so we're going to call the album after it. But
Yeah,
I just think it was too much crammed into one song.
I get that. This song does have its like lovers and detractors. I'm somewhere in the middle. I like elements of it. I don't like the second verse. I think the second verse is very less like. I think it kills the song for a bit. I think it kills the mood. But
Yeah.
they pick it up again with the second chorus. I feel like the second chorus is the best iteration of that chorus with the harmonized vocals, but not having that big band feeling.
Yeah, I won't listen to this one again, I don't think.
Yeah. Also, there's a
But the
nice
next song-
I was gonna say though, there's a nice callback to Chokehold after the third chorus because they use the line again. We were tangled up like branches in the flood.
Ah, he likes that line, does he?
Yeah, so it's a nice little callback.
I'll bring it down like an ancient bygone. Call me when you have the time. I just need to leave this part of me.
But then, yes, we have the next track, the final track, Elucid, which I said is like an epilogue to everything.
Yeah, it really reminds me of Biffy Clyro. And I like Biffy Clyro, so that's a good thing.
I love how it's like, give me 5 whole minutes. The song is 5 minutes long. He knew what he was doing.
Yeah. Like, I don't even know why. It's kind of epic all the way through, which I think is something that Biffy Clyro do really well.
Yeah.
Like keeping a song sounding epic and it not sounding forced. That is usually partially to do with the production. So, hats off to the singer and the drummer for the production on this track specifically. I really like it. I think it's a good way to end the album. It's big, it's intense, and like the word is epic. It's an epic end to the album.
Yeah, I definitely think so. I love that when instrumental's trying to break through the "Do you remember me when the rain gathers," and you still believe nothing else matters. Like, it's like he's suppressing all that emotion like underneath the surface, because then it finally breaks through after he says "the night belongs to you." Like everything just comes in, and it's just like, oh, it hits well. And especially with the line as well, "I must be someone new." It shows he's finally moved on from whatever relationship this was.
Yeah. I mean, the line that I wrote down is "Call me when you have time. I need to leave this part of me behind." But yeah, well, this is like that's why it's the end song as well. It's being like, fine, fuck you. Like,
Yeah,
call me
exactly.
when you're actually going to be on this.
Yeah, especially with like the harmonized vocals, it's just like almost like he's saying it out into the ether because he knows he's really just not going to get a response.
No, it's a very fuck you ending, I think, and the fact that it's so epic, it almost feels like the main the protagonist, the main character, the singer, is like finally going, oh yeah, you know what, like I'm feeling better. This is for me. Fuck you.
Yeah,
Done. And like I think the music reflects it as well. I think it's a very good song. It's really weird because I haven't got much to say about it other than it reminds me of Biffy Clyro, and that's a good thing.
sometimes that's all you need. Just it reminds me of this thing, and that's why I like it. But that was the entirety of "Take Me Back to Eden." Overall, as an album, what do you think?
Similar to the first one, I like it, but I don't love it. I don't think it
That's
entirely holds up solidly all the way through. I think there's some forced elements. I think they they open themselves up, their little emo hearts, to more than the first one. In terms of, I think not that the lyrics are any more emo, but I think they show their influences more.
Yeah,
which I quite like. It helped me analyze the music a bit more outside of this kind of story that we found in the first one. I think I can see where they're coming from with some of it, and it's like, I can see your influences. You're kind of wearing them a bit more on your sleeve this time.
I can absolutely see that, yeah. Overall, I think it's a great album. I did put this as my album as 2023 just because there's just so many elements that hit. And while I feel like some elements don't, overall, just as a listening experience, like, I'm not a big person to go back and listen to an entire album, especially for an artist. I'll just like play a rotation of a playlist or whatever. But this is an album I would go, oh, I'm in this mood right now. Put it on, take me back to Eden, and just have a listen.
Yeah, again, for me, it's a good album, not a great album. I like it. I don't love it. The problem is this kind of music isn't really a bit of me. It's not my kind of thing, and that's why when I can pick out elements that remind me of things I do like, I kind of hang on to them because that helps me try to find something in the songs and the albums that I did like. Like I said, they kind of remind me of Biffy. They kind of reminded me of public service broadcasting. And they're two bands that I really love. And kind of the fact that they, being able to spark a memory of something you love is not a bad thing, because I think it then brings you into the music and the piece. Yeah, I like them. Don't love them. Although I will say this. Their music does not fit their aesthetic.
I can agree to that, yeah.
I think the aesthetic of like the goth cloaks and masks and the clear, somewhat Slipknot, somewhat anime elements do not fit how poppy the metal is.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I can agree. It's a very weird distinction because you like these like heavy looking masks, and yet they come out with this like, oh, interesting.
Yeah.
So Bobby, what's my required reading for the next episode?
I'm excited, Tim, because we are for the third time, and this is unprecedented. Apart from no, it's not unprecedented because you made us do 3 Evil Dead episodes in a row.
I did,
but. We are returning to the world of Pokemon. Yay! Yay, Tim! Say yay!
Yay! Yay!
So, an interesting one for you. I don't think it's as popular as Detective Pikachu, as well known. I don't think it's as well known as even Red and Blue, the games. Obviously, they're the most kind of iconic video games of Pokemon. But what we're going to watch is a whole series, Tim, of Pokemon Origins.
Okay.
Now, luckily for you, Tim, that's only 4 episodes.
Oh, thank God.
It is an anime retelling of the stories of the Red and Blue games.
Oh, interesting.
It was done as kind of an pre-launch thing and an announcement thing for Pokemon X and Y.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's gonna be good times, Tim. It's gonna be enjoyable. It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be slightly different to the Pokemon anime you probably remember from being a kid.
Yeah, I guess absolutely. Yeah, I guess because Ash won't be in this, right?
No Ash, just Red.
Just Red.
And Red came first. Ash was based on Red.
Yeah, so I am looking forward to this.
Yeah, it'll be good.
Okay, so if you want to follow us on social media, first off, Bobby, where can they find you?
I am bdavies_creative on the Instagram and X. Mostly on X, I just retweet stuff from Purpose Wrestling. Yay! But Instagram is where I post other stuff, although a lot of it is Purpose Wrestling based, but I do post other stuff. Yeah, come follow me there for all my pursuits. You can also follow Purpose at Purpose Wrestling everywhere, or Wrestle Purpose on X. And also Mighty Pro Wrestling, which is our family-friendly wrestling shows we're doing. You can go follow them. Find us on Facebook, Mighty Pro Wrestling. Find us on Instagram, Mighty Pro Wrestling. Come down and watch some family-friendly wrestling for a good time. Yeah. What about you, Timothy?
They can find me at the Tim Martini on all social medias. Very, very easy to find because I get to keep my username everywhere.
The absolute, the definite article.
Yes, exactly. And follow us, Cult Classic Society. We have, 8 links to say?
Yeah, something like that. Go on.
CCS Pod on Twitter, Instagram, Threads, and TikTok. Those are the same ones there. We are, is it u/CC Society Pod on Reddit?
Yeah.
So we have a Facebook page called Classic Society.
Yes, you can find us on there.
I feel like I'm missing 2. YouTube, which is its own thing. There's one missing then.
Did you say TikTok?
I said TikTok, yeah.
Oh, well, then it must be the fact that if you're watching on YouTube, you can listen on Spotify and Overcast and Stitcher and Apple Podcasts and all the other good podcasting platforms.
Yes, exactly. We are everywhere.
Yes, like a Rats and Man United fans, you're never more than 10 metres from listening to Cult Classic Society.
Very, very apt. Well,
especially in London with Man United fans, but yes.
Yeah. Well, I've been Tim Martini.
And Tim, I got a bombshell to drop on you.
Right as we're ending? Okay, what is it?
So, do you remember I said, I told my friends we were doing Sleep Token. And they said, I like Sleep Token. Well, one of my friends gave me a little piece of information. He went, you know one of the members of that band? And I was like, you say what now?
What?
Yep. And a friend of mine, a guy, and to be fair, I've not hung out with him for a little while. We were in a bigger group of friends when we were younger. And a friend of mine, who is also still currently a very close friend of his, said, yeah, this guy, he's in Sleep Token. He is the bassist. He is number 3 in Sleep Token. And you're like, they're all mysterious. And I was like, yeah, well, I know him.
Just do your sign off.
How'd you like them apples, Tim?
Just do your sign off. We're done. The Super Pokemon.
I'm best friends with Sleep Token, apparently. So shut up, Tim. Bye.
Bye.